I was actually wondering, how can we separate the language called English with that of your department and the expertise that you're going to have from this department in the name of computer science and computer technology? Because when you people created a computer and placed it on a desk, we people started calling that machine as a desktop. So your task was to keep that particular item on the desk, and our task was to name it as a desktop. Then immediately after some more years, as a result of great research and also great studies, you were able to slightly change the machine from the desk to the lap of an individual. And very eagerly, we were also waiting to give another name that was a laptop. Now, after that, we have a PAM top. And what I feel is now your task is to keep that machine in this area, which is called a lid. And we are very eagerly waiting for the time and a turn to call it as lid top. And I'm damn sure that you people will be creating a wonderful machine, which is to be placed on the lid of the eye, by which we will be able to move our eyelids in the form of sending an email or receiving a message, etc. So, as an introduction, I would like to tell you that it's like a sandwich. Normally, we call it a sandwich. As far as the food item called sandwich is concerned, we know that on the two outer layers, we have the bread piece or the bun piece, and in the middle, we can decide whether we place it beef or chicken or fish or whatever it may be. That's how normally the sandwich is being prepared. And the same sandwiching happens here as far as ICT is concerned, because on the one side, the bread piece is information, and on the other side, it is technology. And in between I and T, there is the very important, very interesting, what I may say, significant piece, which is called communication. That's why ICT is definitely a wonderful, what I may say, sandwich-like product, which requires an ample understanding and a practical knowledge with reference to customize or to slightly infiltrate. These are all some of the terms which we normally use to frighten our students. Infiltrate into the areas. So without communication, normally we know that you are all students of computer science and also you are all students of various other subjects. And nowadays everything has become multi-dimensional and also multidisciplinary. And as a result of this multidisciplinary or the so-called polyphonic nature, it's a wonderful thing to analyze everything and anything in and around us through different perspectives. That is, without a computer, our life is incomplete. Without information technology, our life is practically impossible. Without language or communication, because this is a medium and we are using this medium to communicate through different other media. One particular medium under these media is definitely communication, and communication with reference to English. And I'm very happy to know that English is always getting enriched as a result of the modern computer technology. All the tech savvies, all the computer experts, all the people who are doing wonderful jobs in the area of software, hardware, and all these, you know how many new words are being contributed by you people to the language called English? Every year, by the end of February, Oxford University publishes its yearly Advanced Learners Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, with a cover page showing that 10,000 new words added or sometimes it may go to 50,000 new words added. And every year, this enrichment of the vocabulary, we call it a vocabulary, or the collection of new words getting entry into the language called English, every year it is getting increased. If you analyze how these new words are formed, how these new entries are happening in English, one of the major sources which gives such a great contribution to this language is definitely the field of information technology. That is your field, the field of computer science. And we know that we lost the status of citizen years ago. Years ago, we used to say, I'm an Indian citizen, he is a Pakistani citizen, she is a British citizen. But now we know that we are not at all interested to, because the word citizen in English means, or it is derived from the dwellers of cities, those people who are dwelling or living in cities. But we know that, especially during this pandemic situation, we know that we are completely caught at a particular closed room with a great fear. But at the same moment, we do communicate. We do communicate extensively without having any break. And this communication helped us to call ourselves as, I'm not an Indian citizen, but I'm a global netizen. So the word netizen is a word introduced as a result of the emergence of computer science, or the so-called IT, or information technology. So English, on the one hand, is getting enriched as a result of these types of interferences from the part of many, including computer science. And at the same moment, this language is enriching the computer science area too. I'll come to that. And we normally say that English is the window to the world. If you want to see, if you want to look at the world, if you want to enjoy the beauty and all the things around us, definitely we require a good window. If we are able to look at the window, look at the world through the window of English, our sight, our extension of the sight will be definitely very big. That's why a computer science student or an IT student will never be free from the clutches of this language called English. Like how English is enriched by the computer science is also being enriched by English. That's why if you know some basics of English language, it's very easy for us to operate any computer technology. Let it be a smartphone, let it be what is it called, a laptop, or whatever may be the gadgets we use. English, now we cannot call English as a colonial language or a language of the British. We cannot, because English has lost all its glory, mainly because of the interference made by the information technology. And I still remember in one of my lectures in my poetry class, one particular student asked me a couple of years ago, when we were talking about one particular period of a poet with reference to his lifespan, because normally now we feel that we are in 2020 and 2020 AD, and we know people like Socrates, people like Sophocles, or these types of great philosophers and writers lived in BC. And that means history was able to divide the world or the social age into two by taking into Jesus Christ into the consideration. That's why BC is before Christ and AD is Anno Domini, that is after the dominion of, or after the rule of, or after the life of Christ. And I told you that is a couple of years ago, 2 years, I think, if my memory is right. 2 years ago, one of my students in poetry class, she asked me, sir, why can't we change this notion of dividing the world into two by considering BC and AD? And I asked her, okay, what is your option? What is your choice? Or what is your alternative for that? She said, why can't we use BG and AG? To be very frank, I was slightly a bit confused. And I asked her, will you please explain? She told me BG means before Google and AG means after Google. So what she said was absolutely right, because the world was divided very recently into two, before Google and after Google. And Googling, because the word itself was not there in the pocket of an English teacher, because we know that the browse, Google, these are all words which have got, normally we call it registers. That is, those words used by some professionals belonging to some professions. We have many legal registers. Anticipatory bail is a legal register. We have many registers in the medical field. We have many registers in the field of journalism. They say that it's a lead story. And in films also we have biopic. And when I use biopic means it is a biographical picture of, say for example, we happen to watch that Sushant's movie, MS Dhoni very recently. It's normally called a biopic. And biopic is a word which is exclusively used in the form or in the field of films. So when we consider this register, we will be able to find many such registers emerging from the field of information technology. And all these registers can be used very effectively and very freely. That's why now we can say that if somebody comes and asks me, okay, Fikar, you have some money with you, then I can browse in the pocket. But browse actually means to search, you know. But when we use browse, now we know that browse is a word exclusively meant for searching something in the internet. I cannot browse my pocket for money. I cannot browse my wallet or my purse or anything like that. So such register making is also playing a very important role as a result of the influence. And it's a change for the better. It's a change for the better in the sense that instead of dividing the world into BC and AD, it's a wonderful suggestion to divide the world, the present world. And I'm damn sure that by 2021, that is next year, we are going to use another division of the world, that is before Corona and after Corona. So these are all changes happening, and as a result, and English as a language is a very dynamic, very vibrant language. We cannot always say no, especially professionals, because Dr. Taslima was mentioning slightly that is, you are all going to be there in the industry of software. You are all going to be there in the field of startup. And just check how these names are being constructed. And teachers like Dr. Rajesh, Dr. Taslima, and all the others, including me, we used it to teach, we used it to supply materials, we used it to give notes, we used it to give assignments, we used it to give, allot them some research projects. But one man in Kerala, a simple teacher who also was doing the same thing as we were doing, he put all these things into an application. Only because of that one, he became very rich. And that particular application owner is now called Baiju. And he is not ready to use some other's name, so it's now Baiju's app. So in Baiju's app, if you go to any language items, we know that all these language items are already available, but he was able to customize it. And I know personally that your department is a department having a very strong, what I may say, research backup with very recently Dr. Rajesh and one of his PhD scholars got a patent for a particular item. And see, and I don't know why Rajesh sir was not able to specially name that particular item which got the patent with some beautiful English words. Because it was either Rajesh something like Baiju's app or Taslima's app. So these are all there, this great vast horizon of possibilities there. So what I'm supposed to tell you as an introduction is, you like us. When I use the word you, means the professionals and the students of computer science and information technology. When I use the word we, that means those people who live by teaching and learning and doing things with reference to language. We cannot say no to this one. So English is definitely English is a window to the world, and through which that we are able to see, look at beautiful sights and all the wanted and unwanted pieces of information. Second one is when you use English, and now we don't have the choice to ask the question, why English? Why English is a highly outdated question, and that question can be replaced by changing that which English. This is one of the problems. Which English? Which English means actually we know that there are many different varieties of English. Many different varieties of English. We have the great variety, great I use with all due respect, the great variety called the British variety. And because they are considered to be the real owners of this language, there are some arguments. I don't like to confuse you a lot. You can make some readings. But the so-called British English or the Queen's English, sometimes British English is called the Queen's English, with its specific accent, specific pronunciation, very specific, unaltered, very much refined grammar rules, spelling rules. But the same thing got slightly changed when that variety of British English got slightly transported to another land, which also speak the same language called English, which is none other than the United States of America. So we have American variety, and one of the problems that you are going to face, or you have already faced, is in IT field, in computer science, the default language used is the American version. And there is a choice, there is a chance that you can slightly change the choice from American variety to the British variety. But the default is the American. And we, the students and teachers of language and literature, normally we say that the second wave of colonization, the colonialist move, the second wave happened through this technology. Because the first wave, English was introduced by the colonialist British powers. Later, when Britain was completely compelled to move away from all the colonies, including India, Britain or the British colonialists, they deposited their language there in almost all the lands. But now, even though we are completely away from that colonialism, we have the colonialism, knowing or unknowing colonialism created by the American variety. Because in computer, when I use the Word or the Microsoft Word to type something, you know that COLOUR, because we follow normally British variety, Indians follow, or at least we say that Indians try to follow the British variety. But the very moment we type COLOUR, automatically the computer sometimes makes an auto correction by saying that it is COLOR. And we know that COLOR is not the British spelling for that word, it is the American spelling. So through this spelling system, because English basically is an unphonetic language. In this world, there are two types of languages exist. It is the phonetic language and the unphonetic language. Malayalam is a phonetic language because we write something, say for example, we write adi. We pronounce it as adi only. We will never pronounce it as ad or ed. It's a highly phonetic language because how the script is given certain sounds are to be used. But on the other hand, there are some other languages which we normally classify as unphonetic language, means language having the script, the written form, without having any connection with that of the sound. Many languages are there, and one prominent language is English, and another language is French, and we have German. And these types of languages, they don't follow their spelling system. That's why not only the spelling, but also the sound system also to be learned. Some of you might have learned some communicative English classes during your undergraduate days with reference to the item called the phonetics. And the purpose is this one. We don't want to learn phonetics of Malayalam or Hindi because the sound and the script is almost the same, except some very rare reasons. So coming back to this one, so how a computer science or an IT field person is going to be really professionalized. That is the exact word I would like to use, because we are not supposed to be mere professionals, excellent professionals. That is why you are here in this university. That's why immediately after the completion of the 2 years, you will be going out of this campus with a professional transformation. It requires the help of this language. So, and I don't know, sometimes you can make a SWOT analysis. You can make an analysis, self-analysis. We normally call it a SWOT analysis. Strength, weakness, opportunities, and the threat. Some of you may be very good at typing speed. Some of you may, but at the same moment, your vocabulary may be very limited. And sometimes you feel that I can write anything, but I'm not able to speak out things very fluently. And remember, I think that including me, we are all Malayalam medium products, Pakka government school products. But we are able to overcome these issues as a result of some sort of a determination. And I would like to tell you that there are many different programs available, many different apps available to neutralize your accent. And that's why we have a computer aided English language lab. And in English department, we have an English lab, language lab. And yesterday only, we had a very nice conversation with one of the software companies located at Ahmedabad to enrich or to enhance the items available. And that lab is not for the English students, it's for the university students. And it is for all the students. And immediately after the reopening, after the lockdown, I hope that you also can come and, what I may say, you also can come and avail it. And what are the problems that we face as a speaker of, because English or any language has got 4 different skills to be mastered. I can use my laptop with very limited skill. I can open it, I can, what I may say, do some office activities, I can sometimes browse some, Google some items, but I will never be able to exactly do things like you people do. You develop programs, you develop many other things, and you have some shortcuts to, we are not trained to that. So in that case, the same thing is there with reference to language. The very moment we use or we start using English as a language, because we know that English is not our mother tongue. And English is a language which is terribly, totally foreign. It requires some mastery over its grammar, but grammar is not all. And there is an English variety. I told you that is British variety is there, American variety is there, and American variety and British variety sometimes make a huge difference in expressions, in understanding, in meaning. That's but as far as there are other varieties like Australian English, Canadian English. We have one wonderful English variety called GIE, General Indian English. And this GIE is being used in India because there is a difference between the English used by a Malayali with that of a Tamilian. The Tamilian, sometimes he will never be able to, I don't know how many Tamilians are listening to me. We know that a Tamilian will never be able to spare the sound and the letter R. A Tamilian is compelled to pronounce the word or the combination of the words, the Third World War, as a Third World War, because it's not his problem. He's pulled by his mother tongue Tamil. And in English, we call it a pull of mother tongue. Pull of mother tongue is everywhere, because a Malayali will never be able to, unless trained properly, the Malayali will never be able to say third World War as Third World War or Third World War, because that the sound will be coming. Because we know that in Malayalam, if we use pappadam, we have to use pa, Some people make more stress. അധികം മുക്കാറുണ്ട് ചില ആൾക്കാർ പപ്പടം എന്നൊക്കെ പറയാറുണ്ട്. Pappadam. After learning the Malayalam word pappadam, then later only we are exposed to the English word P-U-P-P-E-T, Pava. So we have a tendency to pronounce that P-U-P-P-E-T as puppet, puppet. Why? It's because of pappadam, that a double pa is in the mother tongue is always pulling us to make the sound puppet. But an Englishman will never be able to say puppet as a puppet, because there is no such accentual stress as far as English is concerned. He will pronounce it as puppet, puppet, puppet. See the difference between puppet and our puppet. That's why when we talk to an Englishman, sometimes in our Malayalam English or the so-called Manglish, then again that Englishman will ask the help of a translator. This is neutralization of the accent, because you are going to be professionals very soon. You are going to be there in the field of software, these types of startups and everything. We were talking about this, the varieties of different Indian varieties. And as far as Malayali is concerned, he will never go to a canteen. He always goes to candy. And we know that there is a difference between the sound t and d. And Malayali will pronounce it as a ta and a da, because it is, that's why it's because of the pull of the mother tongue. That is, we have ta, ta, da, da. I don't know what is the difference between all these things. Because it is a ta, ta, Ravina, Tandan. But as far as English as a language is concerned, English only has got two sounds, that is a t and a d. These two, we normally, technically, we call it dental, yeah. We normally call it, that is, it is related to some sort of the functioning of the teeth. That is, the tongue is coming and touching the back teeth ridge, or the partial part of the inner part of the upper teeth. That's a t. So it becomes a tape. It's a tape recorder. It's not a tape recorder. It becomes a 10, not a ton, or 10. But the radio channel or the FM station will give ton kanakkinu fun. It becomes a ton. That is one of it's mainly because of the pull of the mother tongue. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. That's why among the British people, we cannot exactly expect the best British variety from all the British people. That's why we have some expressions like received pronunciation, RP, or we have sometimes BBC English, which are very close to the Queen's English, and there is a slight difference between the English spoken by a Londoner, a person belonging to London, with that of close by other counties like Yorkshire or some other shires. And they always sometimes, like there is a Malayalam variety of Kasargod, which I don't think that will be very easily accessible to the people belonging to Cochin or Trivandrum. Now we know that what type of a Trivandrum slang is used by Mammootty in that movie Rajamanikam, which is not accessible to even the urbanized people living in the urban part of a Trivandrum. So that variety, and there is a difference between the Malayalam spoken in Kasaragod, especially in the areas of Kumbala, Uppala, Chappala, Jippala, all these areas, with that of Kanyanadu. And there is a variety of, it's only around 10 kilometers away. All these varieties are to be accepted, because I should speak to my mother with her and my proper accentual, dialectical variety. But just imagine that is, if a person coming from a distant place is not able to pick, understand, follow our language, then we will have to neutralize it. We normally call it neutralizing the accent. You can neutralize, the computer tech savvies can neutralize the accent very easily, because thousands of free softwares and programs are available online. If you're that much interested to, then just at least British Council website, you go and they will be giving us chance to speak to the computer. We call it to speak to the computer. When we speak to the computer, we don't have any issue of shame. So I was trying to give you what are the problems faced by a learner of a language. One issue is vocabulary. Vocabulary means every day new words are coming out. And I still remember some years ago, yeah, it's only 1.5 years ago, when in the English newspaper in the front page, one word was there, Recession. I was not interested. I ignored the word. I missed that news item. I didn't read it. But the next day, that word was there in the front page of the Hindu newspaper in around 3 news articles. Then I felt that, oh, this is a new word, because as far as I'm concerned, it's a new word. And I started pronouncing the word by myself, because English, I told you, is an unphonetic language. So I took the pronunciation of the word Recession as recession, because C can be pronounced S, Ch, K. Also, I ignored, but the third day that was there everywhere in almost all the places of the news media. So I was compelled to go to the dictionary. I checked the word, and I first checked how that word was pronounced. And I was to the shock. I was surprised to have the wrong pronunciation corrected by the dictionary. It is recession. It was not recession. And we know that recession, that word came to the world when the Lloyd Insurance Company of the States of America, was terribly financially, economically, fell. We have the Malayalam word Sampathika Mandhyam for that one. But now that particular word, which was a total stranger to me, that word was a total stranger to me. And that particular stranger later became an acquaintance, because I was able to know, okay, recession means, it's like, see, when you come to the campus of Central University of Kerala, sometimes some of you may be meeting the others for the first time, including your professors. And 1 or 2 days, you are total strangers, because you don't know anything about the others, and they also know anything about yourselves. But after 1 week or 2 weeks, sometimes you may be able to understand that, okay, I know him, he belongs to my class, or I know her, she belongs to the other department, I know this particular guy or girl or whoever it may be. We call it in English acquaintance, parijay. First one is, it is a strange, total strangers, aparijitara. Then from that aparijitatvam, we come to the next stage of acquaintance. After that, some more time, we will form some friendship. That friendship means among the friends, then we will not have any type of barriers. Then we know that instead of calling the name, we have some Malayalam expressions like Yada, Poda, Pati, Tendi. These are all some of the words used by the campus students. We enjoy it. I told you about friends. So there are 3 different things: strangers, acquaintances, and friends. This is the way to enrich vocabulary. If you want to enrich your vocabulary, you have to take first strangers. You will have to convert these strangers to the acquaintances, and those acquaintances should not remain as acquaintances. They should be very easily and very quickly transforming into friends. Because all the words are definitely strangers. I told you only one example of a recession. And when we make strangers into the acquaintances, sometimes some of the strangers remain strangers throughout our life. I know some students who completed their studies in UK, only completely spending the whole day and night only in Peria or campus of a university, without going even during the weekend to Bakel Fort or nearby temples or some areas like Ranipur. That is up to the individual. So try to enhance your, and there are no shortcuts to enhance the so-called vocabulary. When I was doing my master's for English literature, I remember one of my friends used to come to the class early in the morning with minimum 4 or 5 very difficult English words. And he starts from the hostel by learning some English, difficult English words by heart. And he comes and, what I may say, practices. Class. And I still remember one particular word. Yeah, there is a catechism in the exigencies of. It was really near to heart attack. And I personally, I thought that these people are very great people because they are using highly polished words. This catechism and exigency and the Holocaust, all these things we use in some these types of literature and culture studies classes. And what happened was, by the end of the program, when the results came of our MA English, only that particular guy failed because he was only interested in that one. And you know what he did? In order to enrich his personal vocabulary, he used to pick minimum 4 or 5 difficult words from the dictionary and he started using it. But he never was given the chance to use these words frequently. That's why we say that 1,500 English words are enough to have a perfect communication in English. And there are some Englishes like a globish. Globally, you can travel if you know these 1,500 words. And out of these 1,500 words, as students of computer science or whatever it may be, you came to do your post-graduation here. And during the undergraduate days, you may be already familiar with many words like this. And you just try to pick those words who are strangers to you, and how many acquaintances are there with you, and how many friends are there. This is one technique. Then another part, that's I told you, that is any language requires 4 skills. It's like driving a car. We know that when we go to the driving school for getting a license, he or she sometimes might have told us, okay, you just revolve the steering 2 times and the symbol of Maruti will be upside down. Then and it's very easy to get a license. But after getting the license, when we are there in the original road, the road full of traffic surprises, traffic challenges, traffic unexpected items, people will be crossing, old people will be crossing, cows will be roaming around, dogs will be playing, because all these places are completely occupied by these types of people. Then we don't know, and how many honking horn, everything will be there. So we will never be able to drive, or we will never be able to become a perfect driver or an excellent, skillful driver without reaching there in the road. The same is the situation with the language. You are already familiar with the many words, you know English. My dear friends, don't say that you don't know English. And some people say that, no, my area is computer science, so I don't know English. No, you know English because you have been living with English for the last couple of years. Say, for example, -2, that is KG classes. We call it LKG and UKG, -2. Then we have 1 to 10, first standard to 10th standard. So 12 years already passed. Then +2, 14 years passed. Then 3 years, what I may say, undergraduate. That is, it is 14 plus 3, 17 years. 17 years means Ramanu Siri Katu Poit Tirchonu. Atrayam Varsham, you have been doing, living, sleeping, eating with this beautiful language called English. Now, how can you say that you don't know English? If you say that you don't know English, that means you're insulting the educational system and the education which you have received. The problem is not our knowledge, but we have to be ready to use this one in a practical way, like I told you how we drive a car in a very busy street. There may be barriers. Do not think that we can all of a sudden, within a couple of hours, we will be able to fluently. And what do you mean by fluency? What do you mean by fluency? My dear friends, do not think that fluency means speed. Fluency is not speed. Because some rivers, some brooks, they will be flowing in a very slow manner. But that slowness is not there in Adirapalli when you go to that cascade or that particular project. Fluency means speed also is there. See, when I talk to you something, I'm sometimes compelled to make a slight break. That is how, let me see, O, E. Normally we call it fillers. When I tell you, okay, let me see what I may say, what I can say, let me think. These are all fillers because when a thought process is happening behind the brain, and how that thought item is or thought process is coming through the in the form of words or expressions, there may be some blocks. Language blocks are there. And in order to fill that blocks, sometimes we use uh, there are some people who always repeatedly say, when I was coming to your place, it's also part of fluency. But do not use in a sentence 10 you knows. Then you will be called you know. I came to, meet, in the afternoon, in that case, definitely you will be given a good name called That fillers can be reduced, but fillers cannot be completely, what do you say, wiped off. Because when we talk something in our own mother tongue, we take break. So do not think that fluency means a speed. But you can have a better speed because I know that you are going to be there in the field of the software industry and all. There sometimes you will be compelled to explain things. There we are not supposed to be, what I may say, in a very slow manner. But overspeed is also an issue. So I'm concluding that is first one is vocabulary is an issue. It should be tackled. And please do not by heart words and meanings. Use and the easiest method to enhance what is it called, vocabulary is definitely reading. And my dear friends, one more very important tip I would like to give you, that is, many of you have the habit of watching English movies. Many of you have the habit of watching English movies with subtitles. Remember, if you switch on the subtitle, your receptivity is in difficulty. Because we know that we are definitely exposed to the American version of English when we watch Hollywood movies. In Hollywood movies, the British variety is not given. The given variety is American variety. American variety, I'll tell you one example. That is, in British English, if we say past, P-A-S-T, past, Americans, they say past, because there's a slight, what I may say, lip adjustment. Past. In Kerala, it becomes a past. All the letters are pronounced. Samadhanai. So it is past. The English variety becomes a past. And if we are not exposed to that particular English, we feel that what? I'll tell you one more example. Sometimes if I ask my students or my friends, that is, can you do it? Can you do it? I use only 4 words. A typical Mallu will ask it, can you do it? And that question mark sometimes will be, that also will be given. Can you do it? But we know that in connected speech, some of the sounds will be lost. It becomes, can you do it? Can you do it? Can you do it? It becomes, can you? Because can and you get mixed up to make it as can you? Can you? That's why we should not ask, hi, how are you? We are asking it because in Malayalam, each and every word should be pronounced. That's why Shuddha Malayalam, we say that purity should be there. But in English, we are not supposed to maintain that purity because it is not how are you. It becomes how are you? How are you? How are you? Vayu. How are you? It becomes how are you? Hi, how are you? Yeah, nice. That type of, it requires a training. It requires a training and intense training. So definitely, if you want to enhance your vocabulary, please read it. Watch good English news channels, and at least 24 hours. I'm not giving you any medicine for long duration. A day, just sit in front of a BBC English for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, just simply. And when the newsreader reads a news item, just observe their lip movement. Lip movement. That is how they say, they already say it. And these movements will be there. From that one, we will be able to improve our English. When you watch Hollywood movies, try to avoid putting the subtitle and looking down and up, down and up, down. And this is how normally we watch Hollywood movies. Instead of that one, listen to that. If any problem is there, rewind it. Within 2 or 3 or 4 movies, then you are okay. Then you will not be going for the subtitles. Okay. Then this is with reference to vocabulary. Read it, and at the same moment, the newspaper, English newspapers and English journals will help you. And also many language tests are available. You know better than me because you are students of science, computer science. Many different items are available. We have some programs in our English language lab, and yesterday Dr. Taslima told you to mention something about that. When we meet personally, definitely you come and have some free coaching there. We are going to extend it as language Center for Language Skills. Very recently it was inaugurated, and I am also one of the joint directors, so I can help you a lot. And this is self-help. Then the barrier, that is, if I speak English, what the others will think. This is a big issue. If I speak out English with full of mistakes, see, a language can be spoken with mistakes first. It's like learning walking. It's like learning walking. How many of us have started walking without falling? Still now also we fall. And never expect encouragement from our neighbors, our friends. Normally, unexpectedly, okay, English hi, how are you? English environment, we call it environmental issues. Environment is an issue. Forget it. English people talk. What do they talk? Our answer is let them talk. We don't care because our life is not going to be dedicated to them. And this barrier can be, and നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ദേഷ്യമുള്ള ആളോട് നിങ്ങൾ ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് മാത്രം സംസാരിക്കുക. കാരണം നിങ്ങളുടെ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിന്റെ അവസ്ഥ കണ്ടിട്ട് അയാൾക്ക് ഹാർട്ട് അറ്റാക്ക് ഉണ്ടാവും. അപ്പൊ ശത്രുക്കളോട് ചെയ്യാവുന്ന ഒരു നല്ല കാര്യമാണ്. You can improve your English too. And this is barriers are there. Fluency can be that is, and I would like to tell you that is minimum at least 5 minutes a day. Just be there in front of your mirror. If you have a private room, if you have a private bathroom, just be there in front of the mirror, which we feel excellent freedom. ഏറ്റവും വലിയ സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യമുള്ള സ്ഥലം ബാത്റൂം. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ശ്രീനിവാസൻ ഏതോ സിനിമയിൽ മുദ്രാവാക്യം വിളിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി കക്കൂസിട്ട് മുദ്രാവാക്യം. അവിടെ നിന്ന് ടോക്ക് ടു യുവർ സെൽഫ്. സ്വന്തം ഇമേജിനോട് സംസാരിക്കുക. ഹായ്, ഹൗ ആർ യു? പോരാ, അത്ര ചിരിക്കട്ടെ. ഹായ്, ഹൗ ആർ യു? അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അത്ര ഗൗരവം വേണ്ട. പിന്നെ അനാവശ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള മൂവ്മെന്റ് കൂടുന്നുണ്ടോ? Because we never meet, we never see how our expressions are. ഒരുത്തൻ അവന്റെ സ്വന്തം മുഖം കാണാനുള്ള ഭാഗ്യം ഇതുവരെ പിന്നെ ദൈവം തന്നിട്ടില്ല. നമ്മൾ കണ്ണാടിയിലൂടെ മറ്റേ കാണും. So we can improve it. And these softwares and these items can be helpful only as aids. The real first decision, urge, should come in the form of determination. And computer technology ആണ് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ, I think that by using different words, it is computer technology created some wonderful words. And partially we can give the, what I may say, credit to the media. കാരണം നമുക്കറിയാം ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ മാത്രമായിട്ട് ഉള്ള ന്യൂസുകൾ നമ്മൾ വായിക്കാറുണ്ട്. And at the same moment, there are some people who are only interested in entertainment. ഇത് രണ്ടും കൂടി മിക്സ് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ we have a new word called infotainment. Infotainment എന്നുള്ള വാക്ക് now it's very common, infotainment. These types of words can be created with the help of your computer technology, and that's why I told you that is because to compute means to calculate, I think. That is the exact word of the meaning of that word. Now we are not only calculating or computing, but with the help of computer science. It's a vast area. And I told you that is any problem with the other skills. One is, we normally call it LSRW. LSRW means listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And out of these four skills, listening and reading are considered to be passive skills. That is, we are not supposed to be very active. We can read it, read a piece of a book from a very passive manner somewhere. We can listen to, okay, listening. But active listening is also there. But at the same moment, when you want to speak out something, you require an active participation. The complete body is under pressure. That is the diaphragm, how the words are coming out, how we breathe in, breathe out, and all. Then writing also requires some active participation. Out of these four skills, now we are all, I think 1 more month you will be able to spend at home. Stay at home, because the government is planning to reopen all these things by the 1st of 2021. Still you have time, and you can make a self-analysis, that is, which particular skill I am very strong at. If you are very strong at writing, now you slightly concentrate on speaking. If you are not strong at listening, minimum watch half an hour or one Hollywood movie. Without this one, take it as an exercise, rewind it. What did he say? I cannot do it. But I cannot do it. How are you? Can you do it? Can you do it? But the same can you do it becomes a can you do it? Meaning is changed. Can you do it? Meaning is changed. Because the first one is, can you do it? Yes or no? Yes. The other one, can you do it? I'm not asking the others, you. Can you do it? I know that you can do many other things. My question is, can you do it? This is what we normally call, with the reference of the shift of the stress. Stress can be shifted. If you use it, then presentation skill is compulsory for the students of computer science. Definitely you will be presenting many items that you are going to have, you're going to use, you're going to market, you're going to be there, the industry, to the clients. It requires excellent, perfect presentation skills, which should be also, along with this MSc course, you must be able to enrich. Remember, I am concluding. Teach me, I forget. Tell me, I forget. Tell me, I forget. Teach me, I forget. Teach me again, I remember. These stages are over. And then now we are at the third stage. First stage is, tell me, I forget. Second stage is, teach me, I remember. Third stage, involve me, I learn. Involve me, I learn. If there is a conversational group, just be there. Don't think that, oh, all these people are speaking a lot, what I can do. No, you should not leave that. Involve, you learn. So, my dear friends, thank you very much, especially to the Department of Computer Science. And this is only an appetizer which I have given you. And remember, we have some programs, and we offer some elective courses in English. And some of our students take, English students take electives from the departments, including computer science. So this is a multidisciplinary items. And immediately after the reopening, please come to our department along with, because our department and your department are very close friends with Dr. Rajesh, Dr. Taslim and all. And definitely you can avail, you can get the complete support and help from the department English language lab. Remember, we cannot give you many great programs, items like that we will come to your department. We have only some items which can be given in enhancing the skill of language. So thank you very much.